Good evening, everyone. We can all take our seats. If we can also have all of our speakers at the speakers table over there, just for convenience. All right, thank you for sitting. Now we're all going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if we can all have a moment of silence for the shooting yesterday in Minnesota. Thank you, and we're going to invite up Father John, our priest of our church, to say a prayer for us. He's coming.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming to our community hall. I think that some of you took a tour upstairs to our church. I am the pastor here / cook for this week. So I'm running around and I'm not spending any time with all of you, but I see some wonderful faces here, and I hope at some point I can get to know you a little bit better. So if we can say a little prayer together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Lord, thank you for bringing us together, that we all, in our own way, care so much for the country that we live in and the freedom that we enjoy. We ask you to bless the food and drink and gathering of these your servants for your holy now and ever into the ages of ages. Amen. Amen. Oh, I have an announcement. We are starting to do Sunday lunches from 12 to 2 as an effort to raise money for our little church here. I was required by my bishop to write a sort of a summary of what happened to Fall River. And I looked into Fall River. I've only been here for 7 years. We came because of the health of my little son over there. And thank God he's doing better. But we did come here, and I understand that Fall River was one of the most thriving cities in the United States in the textile industry and in mattresses and other textile-related industries. And so for A, B, or C reasons, people started to move out of Fall River, including the Greeks. We had in our parish, many of you might know, with either good or bad feelings, George Stephanopoulos, the newscaster. He was an altar boy. His father was a priest in this parish back in the day. It was a very thriving community, even for the Greeks that were here. And slowly they all went out to the suburbs, and many left to take job opportunities. You know the history of Fall River much better than I do. But we are making a resurgence, and Fall River is coming back. And so we pray that God gives prosperity again to Fall River, as he does for our Church of St. Demetrius. We are in a little bit of a financial bind, so we have decided to do some lunches on Sunday afternoon from 12 to 2. Some of the dishes that you'll have here, you'll experience, but I have a lot more dishes that I learned from my grandmother when I was a little boy. Unfortunately, my boys don't take after their dad in cooking. But look at them. They don't also eat like their dad does either. So, thank you again for coming. Do consider maybe if you have questions about Orthodoxy, come and see us, and maybe worship with us on Sunday mornings, etc. And I can answer any of your questions. So as I started to say, we are starting to get into this lunch thing. And one of the things was, let's see how we can actually coordinate it this evening. So we're learning from the mistakes that we're making this evening. One of it is I can't be in every section at all times. So I need to learn how to delegate responsibilities. We're going to put you in your honor system. I know that there's a menu out there and there's prices that are there. My 2 sons are at the cashier. They're giving out tickets. Please be patient with them. I think that one of our parish council members is also in the back. The dinners are there. I am preparing the pita breads right now, so you can have more pita breads with your gyro sandwiches. There's also dolmabis, which are stuffed grape leaves, meat stuffed grape leaves, because Greeks make 2 types. One is a total vegetarian, and the other one's with meat. I prefer the meat, and that's why you're getting the meat ones. And then we do have sort of what we call a koryotika salad, which is, in Greece, if you go and ask for a Greek salad, it doesn't come with all this lettuce and pepperoncinis, and it comes with tomatoes and cucumbers and feta cheese and a couple olives. So that's what you're getting tonight, and we hope you enjoy it. The tomatoes are excellent. They're from a farm that's on Aquidneck Island, the Castros. I buy my canning tomatoes from them, and we buy our eating tomatoes. They are like the tomatoes I experienced when I lived in Greece. So I hope you enjoy it. And then for dessert, if anybody wants, we have what we call a baklava parfait. So it's a vanilla ice cream with sprinkles of baklava on top, if any of you are familiar with it. Our baklava does have walnuts in it. If you do have a nut allergy, please be aware. God bless you all.
All right, we are going to get into our agenda / panel tonight. I have my newly appointed vice chair here, Aaliyah Vermizro Barbosa.
It's Marissa. Thank you.
Sorry. Yeah, I will pass this over to you.
Oh, it's got wheels?
Yeah, it's got wheels.
What?
We're fancy, yeah, so.
Alright. Sorry if I stutter. I'm very nervous. So the first panel, never mind. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. The first panel is us, Christopher Tebow. Then it's going to be the state committee woman, Kayla Churchill. Then it will be John Gasky, State House updates. From the Massachusetts Family Institute, Sam Neal, is that how you say it?
Really?
Say again? Neal? Oh, okay. I would have never got that. The Leadership Institute, Hunter Young. And from Turning Point USA, Angelina DeVillis. And American Reformers League, Patrick Clerkin. And then we'll have Dayton? Is that his name? Dayton Rehoboth, what's SC?
School committee.
School committee, thank you. I did not know that. Okay. Katie for Aubin. Moms for Liberty, Lisa Rodriguez Adams. And then we'll have Freetown Republican Town Committee Chair, Kayla Churchill. She's a woman of many talents, clearly. Detransitioner, Claire Abernathy? Abernathy, thank you. DeSister, Simon B., Amaya Price. And then for stock tax funded abortions, love that, Thomas Harvey. And the Fall River City Council candidate, Chris Peckham.
Yes.
Each speaker will be allotted 3 to 5 minutes. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. All attendees must ensure that topics and remarks remain relevant to the New England region and are delivered in a respectful and appropriate manner.
Again, welcome. I'm the chair and founder of the New England Conservative Coalition. I'm also the chapter chair for Turning Point USA for Dukes County. I am now the vice chair for Moms for Liberty, our chair, Kayla Churchill right over there. We also have, I'm an intern with State Representative John R. Gasky, and I also help Kayla with the state committee.
Also a man of many talents.
Yes. Got some pictures of some standouts that we've done. We are a grassroots-driven political action committee. Our PAC ID number is 81130. You can check us out on the Office of Campaign and Political Finance. We're here, we are created to uphold traditional and conservative values, promoting financial responsibility and defending the freedoms that make New England strong. Our mission is clear, is to unite conservatives across the region and to support candidates fighting for our principles and to give citizens the voice and tools that they need to make a difference in our communities. Whether you're here to volunteer, donate, or simply learn more, you are now a part of a growing movement to make Massachusetts great, make us strong, and then we'll eventually spread to all of the New England states is what we're hoping for.
So, in less than a year, because we started in November, we formed as a political action committee, joined forces with our state committee women. We've helped multiple school committee candidates, mayor, senate races, helped draft multiple bills in the state legislature, launched a popular website with thousands of visitors and readers each month, launched 3 podcasts and opened an office headquarters, launched and made, what is that? A Made in the USA merch shop? Okay. I can't read today, clearly. Spoken at multiple RTCs and garnered their support and built and established 3 RTCs. We built and established 2 coalition chapters and helped multiple local groups promote events. We have an email database of over 50,000 targeted emails and started blasting them, the emails. Helped establish a Turning Point USA chapter. Sent multiple committee members to represent our group at national events. Called out bad actors within our wing of the party and on the opposition. And what we plan to work on next, we want to host collaborative fundraisers every 3 months. We want to establish new chapters and committees across the Commonwealth. We want to relaunch the Bad Actors watch list and add a new battleground section to track officials will support our primary? Or primary? Okay. And then we also want to assist launching new RTCs and help local groups form chapters with us and organize delegates for the Massachusetts Republican Party State Convention.
Thank you. And before we get to our next speaker, I just need to thank Kayla Churchill, our state committee woman. She has done so much work for First Bristol in Plymouth. She's done a lot of it with little to no help or completely by herself at times. She's a fighter. She's a mom. She is continuing to fight for our child's safety. Not only that, we just launched our Moms for Liberty chapter, which we'll hear about later in the presentation. We now have around 100 people already in that Facebook group, so if you feel free to join it. We have QR codes. If you scan our QR code right there, it'll take you to our Facebook page where you can then go and follow everything we're doing. We'll eventually have meetings for Moms for Liberty. So Kayla, we're going to pass it off to you in just a second. I'm going to have Gavin talk about our finances.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Gavin Ells. I am the treasurer of the New England Conservative Coalition. That is a funny way of saying I'm here to take your money. No, I'm kidding. Kind of. As they already stated many times the last few minutes, we are grassroots led. We really believe that the power comes from the people, and to do what we do well, we need to raise funds to do that. So we would appreciate those of you who have not yet donated to think about it. Take a census of your own life. Maybe there's a Dunkin' coffee that you can give up for this week just to give us a $5 donation, so we can keep holding events like this. And I'm going to try this joke for the first time. May not be too funny, but Dunkin' says America runs on Dunkin', but we know that's not true. America really runs on conservative values, like this group holds near and dear to our heart. So please consider donating to the campaign. Thank you for coming tonight. We appreciate it. And for those of you who have donated or have donated in the past, thank you for those contributions, as they have not gone unnoticed. Thank you again. Enjoy your night.
All right, so we're going to start with our first panel, which I've already forgot, so we're just gonna go back real quick, take a look at that. So you already heard from myself. We are now going to ask State Committee Woman Kayla Churchill and State Representative John Argasky to come up as our first panel.
First, I just want to say thank you, Chris, for that introduction. That almost made me cry. That was so sweet. I love Chris. He's been my right-hand man for everything through the last year and a half being on the state committee. Everything Chris does, he doesn't get paid for it. I mean, honestly, on the state committee, I don't get paid either, but Chris wasn't elected. He did this out of passion and because he knew that I needed help. So, Chris, I love you to pieces. Thank you so much for helping because I really needed it. And Gavin, that was an awesome joke. Not only is it funny, but it's true. We really need to stick together. This is almost like forming an army. Everything they're doing to our kids, everything they're doing with the illegals coming in, taking all of our, I hate to say it, taking our jobs, taking our places to live. They're not putting Americans first. They're not putting children first. They're trying to destroy America. And we need to really stick together as leaders and really be the voices for our children. So I thank you all for coming out here tonight. So my message tonight is a breakdown of emergency shelter spending, illegal aliens versus Massachusetts residents. Overall shelter budget, the state expects to spend over $1 billion on the emergency shelter system in fiscal year 2025. Within this, a legislative line item allocated $275 million as part of the broader funding, likely tied to hotel-based emergency shelter. Illegal versus resident families in shelter. As of early 2025, state data shows approximately 4,088 families in the system, with about 1,600 being resident illegals, refugees, and asylum seekers. That's roughly 38 to 39% of the total budget, as you can see in this graph that we did here. Estimated allocation of $275 million shelter line item. Illegal aliens and refugee families, like I said, 38 to 40% of the budget. That's $105 million to $110 million. I believe that should be going to Americans first. Massachusetts resident families are only going to get $165 to $170 million, so that's only a little bit more than what people who haven't lived here their whole life, haven't worked here, don't have, or if they do have children here, they're not legally here. We have veterans on our streets. We just had the homeless encampment shut down in Fall River. I believe that there should be no veteran on the street. There should be no parent and no child on the street. They should come first before any illegal. How do I stop this? This is a short clip from, how do I stop it? Sorry about that. This is a short clip from Mayor Wu. I personally believe she belongs in jail.
Yes.
She's insane, just as well as Governor Maura Healey. They're complete communists, so I'm just going to play this. Chris will help me. Got it with technology.
Last week, Boston received a letter.
Technical deleted. Hold on.
Sorry. Oh, so you know what?
Here's the text on the screen.
Okay, let's hope that's not too loud. Sorry if it is.
From the Attorney General of the United States threatening to prosecute city officials and withhold federal funds unless we cooperate with carrying out mass deportations. Silence in the face of oppression is not an option. The U.S. Attorney General asked for a response by today. So here it is. Stop attacking our cities to hide your administration's failures. Unlike the Trump administration, Boston follows the law, and Boston will not back down from who we are and what we stand for. We will not back away from our community that has made us the safest major city in the country and a leading example of why cities around the country make this country safer, healthier, and more prosperous for all Americans. To all the federal officials attacking communities that embody diversity, creativity, and moral clarity. We mayors said this in DC nearly 6 months ago, and I'll say it again today. You are wrong on the law, and you are wrong on safety. Most of all, you are wrong on cities. The cities that live in your minds are totally foreign to the residents living in our cities. Over the last several months, we've watched Donald Trump send the National Guard into LA and DC to stoke fear and disorder. Boston stands with these cities as they sue over his abuse of power. We have reviewed those cases, and we are prepared to stand up for our city's rights if we need to. Your attacks all come back to a common aim. The Trump administration seeks to divide, isolate, and intimidate cities, and make Americans fearful of one another. But Boston is proof of something far more powerful than lies and intimidation. That safety and community come from loving your neighbor as yourself. This is our city. This is our country. And I'm so proud and grateful to show the world who our community is here in Boston and what we're made of.
Boo! Come on, Chicago!
As Donald Trump says, lock her up. Lock them all up. All right, next slide is...
There we go. Oh. Please. Cooperate with me. Oh, fabulous. This is our first real event, everybody, so
Bear with us.
You're
All right.
doing a great job.
Thank you. We appreciate it. A second Trump presidency, illegal aliens impacts on Massachusetts. What's at stake for foreign-born residents policy and shelters? Key points are, Trump's return could significantly reshape U.S. immigration policy. Massachusetts is home to thousands of illegal aliens, refugees, and international students. State is already under pressure from a migrant shelter crisis, or a legal shelter crisis. Current emergency shelter cost is $275 million allocated for fiscal year 2025, with a legal estimated at 38 to 40% of usage. Federal government to cover nearly half of $647.5 million in temporary shelter costs between 2024 and 2027. Federal actions expected: bring back Title 42 to quickly send illegals back. Finish building the border wall. Let local police help ICE enforce immigration laws. Make it harder to get asylum. Screen illegal aliens based on their ability to contribute to the overall good of this country. We're not against immigrants coming over here. They just need to do it the legal way, and they need to do something that's good for the American people and for the American values and what we've done for this whole time. We're not trying to have them come in and change our American values and what we stand for as Americans. They need to learn the language.
Assimilate.
Exactly. Thank you.
I should give you the mic.
Possibly. What's that?
Supports the oath of citizenship.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to give you the mic too. Screen illegal alien. Oh, I already said that one. Possibly restart travel bans. I know that one's a little unpopular. I think we're already, at max capacity here. I already said it with the veterans and the single mothers and children being on our streets. We can't afford to have more people coming in here. We need to focus on America first and then let other people come in. I'm all for travel bans. Impacts on Massachusetts. Few asylum seekers, but together enforcement on 130,000 undocumented illegal residents. DACA and TPS protection could end. Shelters may get some relief, but new humanitarian problems could arise. State and federal leaders likely to clash in court, like Governor Maura Healey and Mayor Wu. And these are the lovely people that we're letting into America. These are all men. They say that the people that are crossing our borders are mothers and children. Those aren't mothers and children. Those are men who look like they're able to work, and they should be in their own country working and making their own country great, or they should come over here the correct way. And then if they're qualified, they go through the correct paperwork and get their green card, then we can take on ones that can actually contribute to society. We shouldn't have a bunch of men coming here. Like I said, we have women and children and veterans on our street. They don't need our help. Our American people do.
They're usually
This
war
gentleman,
criminals.
He was charged for beating up a police officer. He's involved in different gang stuff. He's a terrible person. Here he is flipping the bird to the ICE officials and the police officers. This down here is a border authorities, rape trees. I just learned about these, and I'm embarrassed to say that. That's something that I should have known about years ago. I'm disgusted on what it is, I didn't realize I forgot there was children here. There's inappropriate things on those trees, and I'll say it when the kids aren't here, but look it up. It's terrible, it's disgusting. And that's what they do to basically send a message to the ICE officials and people on the border saying, hey, this is what we're doing to your women and children. This is Lake and Riley. That gentleman right there killed her in the most brutal way possible. And Lakin was, I believe she was an RN, correct? She was a nurse. She was a student. All she was doing was jogging, trying to get some exercise and stay healthy and be a productive member of society. And she was tragically killed in, like I said, the most brutal way possible. This gentleman on the corner over here, I don't know if anybody heard, there was a woman, she fell asleep on the train, he lit her on fire. And then instead of putting her out or calling authorities or anything and showing some remorse for the horrible, heinous crime he committed, he fanned her to try to get the fire to go even more, and she died. So these are the people that we're having come to America, and this is why I don't support illegals coming to America. I think they need to do it the right way. We need to vet these people and make sure these people aren't on our streets with our children and are with Americans. They shouldn't be here. And now I'm going to pass the mic to Representative John Gasky.
Evening, everyone. How are y'all? It's great. It's a beautiful night tonight. I am thrilled to be here. First off, I want to thank Chris and Kayla for all the hard work. Being a representative, this is my first go around at being a state representative, and it would not be working without these two. Kayla, you kill it on a daily basis with all the people calling in asking for help. If you guys need help, she's the one. She's got her finger on the pulse. She knows exactly where to call. Chris, he handles our data. He handles keeping everything straightened out. And today he started reaching out and helping with his own constituent issues. So thank you guys. Thank you very much. I'd also like to say thank you to Simon. Some of the stuff I'll be talking to about tonight, he helped with this. And unfortunately, I don't have, some of the people that I would love to have seen here tonight are a little bit too far away to make it in tonight, but I'd also like to say hi to recognize Katie. She was one of the first people that I met doing this stuff and getting into fighting for the trans and the boys and girls sports and things like that. I was introduced to her and through and then on with MFI and Sam. Welcome. Thank you guys for all your support so far, and hoping that we can close the deal on some of the stuff going forward. I'm very excited about what we have coming up this next election. You can feel the energy building here in the state, big time. So with that out of the way, I would just like to get into some of the a little bit more serious portion. Today, we're gathering here to affirm one of the most essential truths in our party, our commonwealth and our country, the strong foundation of our families and our society. When families thrive, communities thrive, and when families are undermined, our communities are undermined, and the well-being of us all is jeopardized. Every one of us, regardless of the background, income, or zip code. From parental rights in education and health care to protections for families navigating child care, housing, medical responsibilities. The message must be clear. Massachusetts Republicans stand ready to put families first. So to start with H2042, this was a bill that was brought to my attention. It was actually filed as a by request. For those of you who don't know what a by request is essentially a citizen's petition. Citizens group put together this bill. They found something in the law that they didn't like, and they requested someone file it. The representative that filed it was David Vieira over in Cape Cod, but he didn't do anything to promote it or support it. When it was brought to my attention, I read it at first, and I didn't quite understand what I was looking at. And then I went and looked at the language of the bill. Not the language of the bill, but the language that they were trying to change. And I was shocked at what I saw in there. But House Bill 2042 takes a stand for parental rights in education. It repeals a provision that allowed school employees to provide any kind of reading materials on topics including gender and sexuality to students of any age, without parents even knowing. So this could be a bus driver. This could be a school custodian. It could be the school counselor misdirecting a child to what they want. This is not about restricting voices. This is about ensuring partnership and transparency. Parents should not be considered adversaries to the school system. They're the children's first teachers, lifelong partners and mentors. By restoring parents' rightful place in these decisions, H2042 represents a healthier balance between our schools and the families they serve. On the screen, you can see Section 28 here at the bottom. This is what they're looking to remove. I don't want to stand here. I don't want to stand here and read it, but and it's just a simple one-line bill to have that part taken out. So the next part is H4542, and this bill I find this one is very special to me. This one I wrote with Simon. We wrote this from scratch. We did a lot of research. There was a lot of back and forth, working the language out to try to make it as digestible for Democrats as possible, while still maintaining the teeth that it needs. So House Bill 4542 is about putting children's safety first. This bill would ban irreversible gender transition surgeries on minors and shift our approach from gender-affirming care to gender-confirming care. In plain language, it means that no child should undergo life-altering procedures, and as adults should only do so with a full understanding for both the child and the parents of long-term requirements, risks, and side effects that would be involved. This bill promotes careful mental health evaluation, family involvement, and informed consent. It safeguards children while preserving compassion, ensuring that healthier, more supportive care prevails over haste and pressure. Essentially, 4542, you got the basis of it, that it ends, that if it were to pass, it would end gender transitions for minors, but at the same time, it prevents the use of hormones, and it puts a stopgap on anybody seeking any kind of gender transition. They would have to have a full workup, mental health workup, and everything else, with a full understanding of how long they would be dealing with all of this. And now, finally, H573 is accountability and protecting minors from abuse. House Bill 73 emphasizes accountability in one of the most serious areas. the protection of the young people from the abuse by authority figures. For too long, cases of misconduct have been handled by moving offenders from one school to another and placing more children at risk. H573 seeks to end this practice. If adults are entrusted with influence and power and betray that trust by engaging in inappropriate relationships with minors, they should not be quietly relocated. They should be removed from positions from where they can harm again. This bill ensures the safety of students and restores the public trust in those institutions. Just as a side note on this, one of the things that I was looking at when I was shopping around for a bill, this bill was actually submitted by Representative Fiola, and I believe that was also probably done as by request, because she hasn't done anything to support the bill. But we were writing, Kayla and I were actually writing almost word for word, we were writing the same thing. And we saw what had been produced already, and we jumped on it as quickly as we could. In the hopes that something that was bipartisan and hopefully bicameral would make its way through the courts and give our kids a chance. If you go back and you look and you do your research, for the last several years, there's almost one educator per day over the last several years has been arrested for inappropriate relationships, pedophilia, child pornography, having children with children. But supporting these bills means more than passing legislation. It means affirming our collective belief that every child deserves a safe and loving home. Sorry, I'm very passionate about this. I have a 13-year-old. Parents' voices must never be silenced, and that government support should not undermine the crucial role of the family. To those that say these measures impose costs, let us respond. The true cost, the unacceptable cost, would be failing to protect the very institutions that nurture the next generation. When we safeguard family rights, we invest in the moral and social foundation of our communities. We invest in resilience, compassion, and the future of Massachusetts. So I ask today that you stand with me and reach across communities and differences and unite by one conviction. Strong families are our greatest strength. And it is our duty to protect them and ensure a healthy and prosperous next generation. This isn't just good policy, it's a moral imperative. Thank you.
There's one thing I have to say about Gasky before we move on. He's a fighter. He's a true, bold, conservative Republican. We will be endorsing him, God willing, if he runs again. He's a great candidate, and he is the ideal state representative, and I hope we can get more people like him into office and continue growing the conservative movement here in the Commonwealth. We are going to move on to our next panel, if we can have Kayla and John leave the stage, I guess. I'm trying to think of like a non-rude way to say that. And we are going to have our second panel on. We have Sam from MFI. We have Hunter from Leadership Institute. We have Turning Point USA here. We have Angelica. And then we also have Patrick from the American Reformers League. If we can invite all of them up onto stage and give them a round of applause. While they're entering, does anyone have any questions? I know I probably should have done this before they left the stage. Does anyone have any questions for State Rep John Gasky or Kayla Churchill or myself? Yes?
John, if I could ask, sorry, I guess maybe an education for all of us. We hear about these bills all the time as they go to come up. where does it go? How much support has to be there by vote? Is it us as a community, we get to vote? Does it go to Bill that way, or does it stay within the state house and they do the voting on it, deciding if that gets put in play? How does that work?
Yeah, the unfortunate side of that is it's decided by essentially the chair of the committee. If it's a joint committee, it's the Senate chair and the House chair decide on what bills move forward. We just had a roll call vote on a hearing that we had back in June. They presented us with 4 bills as our choice and said, do you want these bills to go forward? It didn't say vote on these 4 bills. It was, here's your vote, these 4 bills will go forward or they don't.
Put them together?
Correct. They like to lump everything, so they put 3 garbage bills in with 1 that is supported. So I've said that. But that seems, I was taken aback by that because I understood it to be that when everything was done, the way they described it, they were like, this is going to be, you're not going to have much time, you got to be paying attention. So after my first couple of hearings, I'm watching his phone, I'm looking, okay, am I going to make my decision? I'm waiting. I'm waiting 2-3 weeks. Finally, I reached out. I was like, "Hey, is there going to be mentioned anything?" They're like, "Oh, we're still taking testimony," and so they'll set a time limit for taking written testimony after those bills, and then they decide on what bills they want to move forward. So I'm hoping that 1 or 2 of my bills makes it forward, but there's a lot of them that don't like me too much because I don't think that boys should be playing with girls. So there is a workaround, and the audit is a prime example of one of those workarounds. It's a ballot measure. You get enough signatures, I believe you need, I think it's 10,000. Yeah. I think it's 10,000 signatures to be able to get something on the ballot as a ballot measure. That gets it over to the Attorney General. The Attorney General approves it and gets it put onto the ballot. So something like that, there are different workarounds, and honestly, with the makeup of the legislature the way it is now, if something doesn't drastically change with this next election, most of what I do, I'm going to be pushing for ballot measures to get it out, to get the people to decide on if this is worth pursuing. So, sure. Anything else? Anybody? Great.
Forgot to announce, by the way, anyone who purchased food, the food is ready. If you still want to purchase tickets for food, we have our food ticket table over there. So anyone who wants food, it's ready. So
The food is amazing.
Can I just say one
Oh,
thing?
it is?
The tomatoes are unbelievable.
I cut them, okay? So.
And I have one more thing. I brought with me support the repeal of Chapter 135 that is on a ballot measure that is on for the 26th election. I have them in bumper sticker and magnet form. So pick whichever one you want, take it home, put it on your car, wear it proudly, tell everybody, pass the word. I also have, if you want a business card, I have magnets for that, and I have my link to donations. Thank you.
Well, how are we doing, everybody? My name is Sam Neely. I'm here on behalf of Massachusetts Family Institute. Kind of giving everybody, want to give everybody kind of like a state of the Commonwealth speech. You know, it's just a quick little overview, some of the wins, some of the things we've been experiencing here at MFI, and I know it touches a lot of the issues that you guys have been talking about here tonight. Well, little introduction. My name is Sam Neely. Born and raised on Cape Cod. I got my start in conservative politics when I gave my life to Jesus at 13. And I mean, it's kind of a joke. I mean, it's real. Like, that's when my relationship with Jesus started, and then, but it laid the foundation for what the Lord had called me to do. Now that I'm 20 years old, He kind of like brought me into that. Started with Turning Point USA. I met Mike King, the incredible CEO of Massachusetts Family Institute, and from then we did some events through Turning Point, and then I got married this January. 2 weeks later, he gave me a job, and I was like, all right, I'm good with this. I like this. So yeah, I'm so excited to be here. Let's give a round of applause for my friend Chris. What an incredible job Chris has done organizing the New England Conservative Coalition. I mean, it's awesome. We all the things that we care about. It's a broad coalition, but when you have something like the New England Conservative Coalition, it brings it together, and it's a beautiful thing. So, without further ado, I'll just get right into this. Massachusetts Family Institute, we strengthen the family, therefore we strengthen communities. It's kind of like a super easy mantra, this then that, a cause and effect. So what is the family? Obviously, it's defined in Scripture as one man, one woman, and then be fruitful and multiply. Amen, hallelujah, love that. So me and my wife were actually expecting our first baby in February, so we got busy. We fulfilled the mandate. So right off the bat here, you have I know, oh, don't worry, trust me. If you could have 5 kids at once, we would have. We have to do it one at a time, so. And money is a thing, of course. Yeah, who knows? So basically, we know what the nuclear family is, but especially here in Massachusetts, we've seen the complete unraveling of the family. And unfortunately, the devil has just completely co-opted the mind of so many young people, where a huge percentage of Generation Z now identifies as some sort of LGBTQ on that spectrum. But however, I believe it's my personal calling to speak truth into a world full of lies, and I'm so happy that I get to do that through MFI now. And on the topic of gender confusion, we have so many wins across the state. First of all, this is a national one. The NCAA and the Olympics International has banned men in female sports. That cannot be overlooked. That's incredible. I mean, we all remember the latest Olympics. I mean, the heretical travesty of the boxer, and then the heresy of them mocking one of the Last Supper. Oh my goodness, just insane. I didn't even watch the Olympics, I just saw that through clips, it was crazy. The next one, Dighton Rehoboth. We've got the wonderful Katie Oven here from Dighton Rehoboth. I'm sure she'll talk about it, I don't want to steal her thunder, but I'm sure you guys have heard of that with the whole, protect giving coaches and players the ability to opt out of a game if they feel, they're in danger, if there is a transgender on the other team. And I believe it was 2 games they forfeited, is that correct? Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, so it's just, unfortunately there are others, school districts who don't feel that way, but it was a 10-0 vote in the school committee to get that passed, am I right? I just want to thank you, all right, cool, I'm right. All right, just incredible that in Massachusetts we have a regional school district unanimously protecting girls in youth sports, it's incredible. We have no federal funding for gender transitioning drugs for minors, that's a huge one, and the children's hospitals in both Colorado and Los Angeles have closed their gender clinic. Completely. It's amazing. And Chicago?
Connecticut, Chicago, I think one of the Pennsylvania ones I work with.
I mean,
There's a long list. There's a long list.
Wow.
California, Los Angeles.
That's encouraging.
Yeah, now we just need to encourage Boston to do it. My goodness.
New Hampshire, this legislative session, I worked on 2 bills in New Hampshire which ban for minors cross-sex hormones, puberty blockers, and breast surgeries.
That's amazing.
Nice.
Got it signed by the governor a couple weeks ago.
Wow, great.
Yeah.
We're also protecting parental rights at school, in education, on the school committee level. We assisted Burlington parents, I'm sure all of you heard of this, file federal complaints to the Department of Education after the school forced students to take a highly inappropriate and explicit survey that the parents had opted their children out of. I mean, I'd be chucked off the stage if I started rattling off the questions. So inappropriate, so grotesque, so disgusting, and it's being given to middle schoolers. And the parents opted them out. They They just ignored it, absolutely ignored it. It's a travesty. But the good news is we can announce now that the Department of Education has officially opened an investigation into the Burlington Public Schools. Round of applause for that. And we focus local, and local is where we should have our focus, but I mean, it matters. I'm saying this personally, but it matters what happens, who's in the White House. I know local matters, affects our lives more day to day, who's in local government. But man, when you have the Federal Department of Education making an example out of the Burlington Public Schools, that's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. We've also, MFI has also been protecting religious liberty. We secured religious vaccine exemptions for multiple nursing students over the past several years since the whole insanity vaccine started here in Massachusetts. We've protected the religious liberty of a pro-life pharmacist who did not want to dispense the abortion pill at a very popular pharmacy. And we defended the free speech rights of a teacher / conservative candidate at the time who spoke up about the transgender issue. And we also protected another nurse from having to perform gender surgeries. And I'm sure this is the Liam Morrison. How many of you have heard of Liam? This guy. Oh yeah, this guy is like, this man is incredible. This young man is incredible. I think he's like 13. He is a hero. Yes. He walks into school with a shirt that says there are only two genders. The principal calls him into his office and says, "You are committing physical violence against the other students by the shirt that you are wearing."
In Middleborough.
Yeah, in Middleborough, thank you. The next day, I think it was the next day, I'm not certain, but he walks, at a later date, he walks into the school with that shirt on. There are censored genders. Again, he's sent home. Lawsuits filed, blah, 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 it makes its way up. There are about 7,000 cases presented to the Supreme Court every year. Only 1% of them are actually taken up by the Supreme Court. So unfortunately, Liam Morrison's case did not make it to the Supreme Court. However, we are, Liam is still he has started something that I don't think will stop. I don't think that can be stopped here in Massachusetts. So, round of applause for Liam. I mean, he had the courage to do what most adults would never do in their workplace. And that's something, yes sir.
Did they just send him home for the day, or is he permanently out for,
So they just sent him home for the day. They were like, either, change your shirt or, go home. And he just went home.
He's actually he transferred to Bristol Ag.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's no longer in the Middleborough School.
Yeah, and then he also delivered like an incredible school committee message to the school committee right after that. We also have speaking of Liam Morrison, our local council, Massachusetts Liberty Legal Center, an outgrowth of Massachusetts Family Institute, launched last fall. This exists to promote a culture in which free speech is respected, religious liberty is cherished, and families thrive here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And then switching to education, I'm doing like a really 30,000-foot view of what MFI does. We have what's called our church-based learning centers. MFI is currently supporting and promoting the following 23 church-based learning centers. So maybe you'll see a town in there you're near or you live in. We had a dilemma in Massachusetts. The public schools are terrible, but it's really difficult to educate children on, to run a family on one income. So we have figured out a way to homeschool your kids and have both parents work. And no, the answer is not neglect. We're not neglecting our kids. You figured out this. No. Church-based learning centers. It's the initiative of the church-based learning centers to collaborate with churches because they have two things. They have affordable and available space throughout the week, and generally they have a robust volunteer network, a lot of times retired teachers. It's perfect. We're able to serve kids an education 5 days a week for as little as $100 a month per student. I mean, that's just incredible. I mean, with all the administrative fees and all this extra cost, it's like over 20 grand or something per student in the public school system. So, I mean, just a fraction of the price doesn't even qualify as how cheap that is. So yeah, maybe you see all your towns on there, and I'm trying to figure out, I think there's one in New Bedford. But anyways, I'll move on.
Too. That's where my kids go.
Yes, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I
So
called you
cool.
guys and you direct me right to them.
There we go.
Church there, my kids go to school and they're learning cursive, the Constitution, everything about God. It's amazing.
It's amazing. It's classical Christian education. Thank you.
Where is that?
It's right there.
Meeting House Church.
Meeting House.
Yeah, if you guys want more info, we have like these text lines. I didn't want to bog you down with all these text lines because But if you text, I believe it's school option, which like one word, school option, to 87891, you'll get like an automatic text reply with some info about it. But I don't want to, we have a lot of those like text lines, it's overwhelming, I don't want to bog you down with all that. But this is like the final, the hoorah sort of thing. Currently we have, those numbers are a little old, we have about 150 advocates from 100 different towns and cities, a part of our Massachusetts Parents United Alliance. So it's a great way if you're like, I want to get involved, I just don't know where to start. It's a great way to, you simply text the word Alliance to 87891. I implore you, if there's one thing, just pull out your phones right now, everybody, across the road. Alliance to 87891. We can grow the advocacy, and it's a great way to share wins. And when you go to, we meet 4 times a year, twice in person, twice online. There's no obligation. We meet through an online application called Basecamp. And it's just a wonderful way to encourage each other, to receive encouragement, and to continue the movement going forward. And so many different, there are so many different aspects of the coalition, as I said at the beginning. But I really encourage you, text Alliance to 87891, join the Massachusetts Parents Unite Alliance. And I'll finish with this. I just think it's important that, like I said at the beginning, it's strong families, therefore strong communities. But it's more than that. It's strong families, therefore a strong church. Strong families, therefore a strong society. Strong families, therefore a strong government at the state, at the local level, at the state level, and at the federal level. So we need to remember that. So when we think about like, well, we got to change culture, it's easy to look, it's easy to have that lefty mindset. Like, oh, it must be someone else's fault. No, it's like take responsibility, be like, what can I do to improve my situation right now? It's like what Jocko Willink talks about. You own 100% of your 1%. That's Hunter's line. I just stole that right from him. Sorry, buddy. But so that just having that mentality is a great thing to have, and it starts with your family. I mean, my family's just starting, and it's like I can be mad about everything that's going on in culture, and yes, I'm going to do my best through MFI and this wonderful New England Conservative Coalition to change those external problems. But at the end of the day, what I think it's the quote Mother Teresa: to change the world, go home and love your family. That's how it starts. So I think that's my final message, my final exhortation for you all. So thank you for listening. Thank you, Chris, for having me. God bless you all.
Messed up. I had to go fix it so we can continue recording our event. We are going to give it up for Angelina for Turning Point USA. Yeah!
Hi guys, my name is Angelina. I'm here as the New England field representative for Turning Point USA. These 2 gentlemen took a lot of my points, so I'll keep it brief tonight, but I just wanted to echo Sam and thanking Chris for hosting such an incredible event. It's no small feat to host something like this, so it's great to get the community together. So like I said, I'm the New England representative for Turning Point USA, so I oversee New Hampshire, Maine, Rhode Island, and the eastern half of Massachusetts. A little background on Turning Point USA for those of you who are unfamiliar with us. We are a 501c3 nonprofit institution. So we don't take partisan positions on any policies, but we do base our organization around promoting the values of freedom of speech, limited government, and fiscal responsibility. So my role is I work in the NFP program, which stands for National Field Program. It's split into 2 different divisions. We have Club America and TPUSA College. I work in TPUSA College, so I travel around New England, going to college campuses and really promoting our values there. And yeah, our main goal at Turning Point is just to identify and empower college-age students to get involved in politics. We're really focused on finding those leaders in the crowd that aren't necessarily confident enough to stand up by themselves, so we really want to be that outlet for them to get involved in their college campuses, and then after that, get involved in community events, such as everyone here right now. So it's really important for us to get out here and make these connections, because we want these students to have these outlets after graduation to actually make the change necessary in the country. And yeah, a little bit about our territory. Turning Point USA currently has 3,500 plus college chapters right now, and in New England in the last school year we had 24 chapters, which is
great. New England's seeing a lot of growth right now and a lot more enthusiasm on college campuses for conservative values. So definitely becoming much more larger in all of New England, which is great to see. The enthusiasm is there. We partner with like-minded college student organizations all the time. And we had around 4,000 student contacts last school year, so definitely growing in New England, which is great to see. Massachusetts in particular is definitely, getting more red every year, so great to see. And yeah, that's pretty much my whole spiel. Like I said, I work with college-age students, but it's great to make these connections because I want my students to have an outlet after graduation so they can really get involved. So if anyone here tonight has a son, a daughter who's in college or even in high school and they want to get involved in conservative politics, you can come find me after and I will get them set up with Turning Point. So thank you everyone for having me.
Hi everybody, my name is Patrick Clerkin and I'm here representing the American Reformers League. So the big question, I don't want to bury the lead, the big question that I want to talk about tonight is post-Trump administration in a couple years, what's the future of the political parties? Republican, Democrat, Independent. We live at a time of immense political transformation and I think we're all wondering where things are going to land. So that's the big question that I want to talk about. But I want to start by giving you a little bit of background about myself and why I'm here tonight, or how I got here tonight. So actually, my background is I'm a mechanical engineer and a part-time handyman. I live in Medford, Mass. And I find myself back in the political realm. Thank you. I will consult these in a little while. But thank you for changing those. So, back in high school, I was into geography and history and politics and all that, but that sort of took a back seat when I got into engineering and the STEM field and all that. Now I'm back into politics. Over the last year, I feel like I've really crossed the political universe. I've plumbed the independent space, and I was involved with the Kennedy campaign. And my role in the Kennedy campaign was basically kind of equivalent to what was just described on the college campuses for Turning Point. I was responsible for Massachusetts. We have 149 colleges and universities here, 49 of which are in Boston. And so I started off in Massachusetts. I'm 32, so the idea was I'm old enough to be able to help organize, but young enough to be able to relate to the students. So I started off in Massachusetts and then went nationwide trying to connect all of the students. So when the Kennedy campaign basically folded, and then it became about how do we get Kennedy and Trump working together, that's really when I started forming this unity coalition and trying to get people thinking beyond just party, beyond candidate, trying to get people to think, okay, putting aside Trump administration 1, whatever your feelings of it are, that was a time where Trump had just arrived in DC into the Viper pit. He didn't know what he was getting into wholly yet. There were people surrounding him who he didn't know and making cabinet recommendations that he didn't wholly understand. And now this is a new Trump administration, Trump 2.0. He's got this coalition around him. He's got Tulsi Gabbard and Elon Musk and Bobby Kennedy and all these different people that are rounding out the administration. So I was going around to different Republican town committees in Massachusetts. I was trying to get this Kennedy coalition that was kind of fracturing. Some people were saying, I don't know if I could ever vote for Trump. Some people were like, hell yeah, I'm voting for Trump. Other people were saying, I don't know, convince me. So we were really trying to pull that together. Throughout that process, I mentioned that I was advocating this unity coalition. What I noticed is that basically the political arena right now, it's two political parties undergoing internal civil wars. There's an establishment within each party, so the Democrat establishment might be more funded by big tech and big pharma. The Republican establishment might be more funded by the oil companies and the military contractors, but there's a populist coalition that has broken away from the establishments within each party.
On the Democratic side, it was Bernie Sanders. On the Republican side, it was Donald Trump. And Donald Trump basically ran an insurgent campaign within the Republican Party, and that's what we're seeing happening right now. We all know what happened to Bernie Sanders. He got squished under the boot of the DNC. So what I was trying to do was getting the party establishments work together behind the scene. You know, the corporate interests, they're tied together. So a lot of people, you might have heard the word uniparty before. The corporate establishments of the two parties are really the same animal, and the populists have more in common with each other than they realize. I've actually worked with Trump people who were formerly Bernie people who were Trump people, Kennedy people who were Bernie and Trump. So it's sort of like this fluid middle. There's people who would never work with each other in those camps, but there's a lot of people who ultimately they're about populism, and it doesn't matter what party you're affiliated with, they want to make America work for the average person again. They want to put the average person back at the negotiating table. And so that's the space I've been trying to work in. And so these pictures on, I should mention that the Unity Coalition at some point, I decided to rename it the American Reformers League because it was a little bit more substantive, and it was built around common goals like ending the forever wars and ending corporate capture and having a clean environment, not one that's built around the global warming narrative, but one that's like, hey, let's not poison our water and our air, let's have healthy food, things that should transcend partisan lines. So basically I wanted to give a couple visuals to accompany what I've been talking about. And this big transformation, it's a little bit difficult to see right here, but this snaky vine-looking thing is the American political parties from the dawn of the Republic, actually before the dawn of the Republic, before the Constitution was signed, through, I believe, the Hayes administration. So you could build onto that another 150 years on the right-hand side. But basically what it shows is that political parties are a lot more dynamic than we really realize. There's periods where, at the start, it was the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists arguing over the relative size and role of the state and federal government. And they sort of snaked around and away from each other. And then at this point in time, the parties converged, and there really was no difference between the parties, or there was no major struggles, but like major fights between them. That was the era of good feelings in the Monroe years. And then after that, it was, Andrew Jackson and the birth of the Democratic Party, and then the Civil War with Lincoln, the birth of the Republican Party. And you have all these little parties that are branching away and reconverging and crossing the aisle, like the Know Nothings and the Free Soil Party. And so the point is there are points of convergence and points of divergence in the whole history of political parties. And in the mid-century of the 20th century, in the Eisenhower years, actually the Republican and Democrat parties weren't that different from each other. And there were a lot of people that were saying, I would like there to be more variation between the parties because the Democrats and the Republicans have both kind of converged around the New Deal, and there's not really much distinction between them. So this lower image right here is kind of what we're dealing with today. It's a little bit hard to see from back there, but it's basically a cluster of all these dots, blue dots on the left and red dots on the right. And then there's some purple dots mixed in, and then there's sort of this middle space of all these fibers, kind of this bridge of people moving between. So you could call that the independent space. What's happening right now is like the Democrat Party and the Republican Party have both sprung a leak, and you're having Democrat, or I guess you could say conservatives and progressives, if you want to use those terms instead. You have them moving into the middle space from their parties that they used to affiliate with. You have them moving into the other parties. Back in the, what I just mentioned before, in the Eisenhower years, there was less polarization. And by polarization, I mean that there were liberals and conservatives within each party. And over the last 75 years, what's happened at the party level is The liberals have moved over exclusively to the Democrat side, and the conservatives have moved over exclusively to the Republican side. And so you have these two parties that basically just slam into each other, and no one's in no man's land. Now that's changed. Now there's a lot of people in no man's land, and there's a lot of strange bedfellows, and there's a lot of reformation happening. This is the only other slide, I promise. So the upper image in this slide, I clipped these slides out of a larger presentation, so there's more context here, but this upper slide shows the Republican coalition for the last 75 years and what held it together in the middle, and that's patriotic anti-communism. That's basically throughout the Cold War. And so you have these different factions that are linked onto the central concept, and that would be military supporters, Jews with Israel, big business, which was trying to protect capital and limit unions. You have law and order, which was prevent anarchy, crime, and drugs. Limited government, the limited government crowd, which was anti-totalitarian and resist integration. And then you have Christians, which is anti-atheist and family values. So all of those had alignment with each other. This is no longer the coalition. If you haven't realized, it's no longer the Cold War. Some people think it is, but we live in a different moment, and we have to adjust the parties to match the background that they're in. Just like the Democratic Party is built around the early civil rights movement, and they still seem to think it's the civil rights movement, but it's not. I hate to burst their bubble. So the suggestion that I'm putting forth, and this is not gospel, this is just something that I was thinking about, in the post-Donald Trump years, he's basically the personality that's holding this together right now, this coalition. It would otherwise be springing apart. And the Democrats are also held together by Donald Trump, but just in opposition to him. So the lack of Donald Trump is going to cause both parties to basically come apart if they don't have something to gather around. So I was suggesting that populism basically be the core of the Republican Party, and that the new groups that come together around it are based on security, health, development, civics, and finance. And there's sort of different reasons that they would be connected to that hub. The last thing that I wanted to say is, from within the Republican Party currently, the association of the Republican Party is very positive. We're the party of Lincoln, and Teddy Roosevelt, and Eisenhower, and Reagan, and now Trump. The view from the outside of the party, so that was the good. The view from the outside of the party is, from the people who really don't like the Republicans, oh, they're the party of Joe McCarthy, Jim Baker, David Duke, and Gordon Gekko. So the point is, how do you win over more people to this new Republican Party or this new conservative coalition? Maybe, I'm not even saying it's going to look exactly like this. Maybe it'll be some conservatives in the Republican Party, some conservatives in the independent space, some conservatives in whatever the Democrat Party becomes. But the point is, we have to start thinking about this. And thank you for allowing me to come here tonight and speak. And I should have mentioned, I met Chris at some point. He attended one of my meetings. He liked that I was asking these big questions. I liked what he was talking about as well. So I thank Chris for inviting me here tonight. Thank you all.
All right, so we will move on to our third panel. Let's take a look at that, because I forgot. And thank you for all of our speakers. All of our speakers are lovely. Thank you for all coming. It's very important that we continue to talk about these issues that are pressing our party, because the future of the party, we need to really figure out what is our next direction. Where are we going to continue to go from here? After Trump, we still have more. Where there's something after the 4 years. So after these 4 years, let's really see where our party is going to go, continue to grow, and continue to garner support. We are going to now welcome up our third panel. We have Katie Ferreira-Aubin from the Dayton-Rehoboth School Committee. We have Lisa Rodriguez-Adams from Moms for Liberty. And then we have our Freetown Republican Town Committee Chair, Kayla Churchill. And then again,
Food, donations, raffle tickets, we've gone over this. Alright, I'm gonna pass this over to you. Alright, sorry. Alright, Katie, I'm gonna pass it off to you. Oh, yeah, of course.
You guys can hear me, I talk loud enough, right? Okay. So, I'm Katie Allman, Dayton Public School Committee member. I am speaking on behalf of myself, not the entire committee. So, thank you, Kayla, for inviting me here to speak. I wanted to specifically take, and I'm going to be super short, time on policy for school committee. And I want to preface this with, things with Trump are getting better and better and better. But the Dayton Rehoboth School Committee passed 3 conservative policies under Biden. So there is hope if we just keep pushing forward. And I want to thank MFI for helping me write these policies. They were instrumental in checking legal, making sure they were all squared away. They met with me a lot and didn't charge me a dime. So I want to thank them. And John Gadsky also coming back into the 2025 arena and helping put one of these policies to a bill for the sport. So the first bill that I want to talk, the first policy that I want to talk about is sex education programs. And this is, again, a Dayton Rehoboth policy. And I brought this to the committee, the specific policy, because when DESE was going to mandate and reframe the sex education, I went and spoke against it in front of DESE and things like that, but just in case it passed, it did not pass, but just in case it passed, I wanted a fallback for Dayton Rehoboth. I grew up in Rehoboth my entire life, still lived there for 43 years. I wanted to be back like when I was in school. What this policy says and does is it has an opt-in policy for sex ed. Right now in Massachusetts, you can opt out of sex ed in any Massachusetts school. Right now at the start of the school year, so right now, so Dayton Rehoboth starts on Wednesday, but before, when you're filling out the forms, if you're a parent, you have to opt in to sex ed. You have to click a little box to opt into sex ed. So that it alerts the parents on what the curriculums are, everything like that. So you are not all of a sudden getting a survey like from Burlington. You're not all of a sudden getting gender ideology in a health class. You are in the know as a parent in the community of Dayton Rehoboth at the beginning of the school year. So we're already ahead of the curve. So opt-out is great, but opt-in is better. The next one is public complaints about curriculum instructional materials. This I brought to the committee because when I was walking into a school committee meeting, it's in the library and they had a bookmark. And it was right on the librarian's desk. And it had banned books. And the biggest, boldest one was The Joy of Sex. So I've never heard of this book, so I do a quick Google image search, and basically it's the Kama Sutra. Okay, the librarian wanted this in the Dayton Rehoboth school library. So during that committee, it wasn't on the agenda, so I went around the table and I had to be just a public comment. And I brought this to the chair's attention, the superintendent, the assistant superintendent, and I read what was in this book. And the next policy meeting, I brought this policy with the help of MFI to the policy committee. So what this policy says is if a parent or anybody in the community has a problem with any materials in the Dayton Rehoboth library or curriculum, you can bring it to the superintendent. The superintendent then brings it to the school committee, and the school committee has the final say on removal or keeping of that book. Not the superintendent, not the assistant superintendent, the school committee. So that again is another policy that we have at DR, conservative. The last one that Sam was talking about is the sports policy. So Dayton Rehoboth field hockey player got her teeth knocked out a couple years ago, and it was like, what do we do? This has been a law forever, but again, I wanted something to do in Dayton Rehoboth. So this policy basically gives the opportunity for a female athlete or a coach to not participate against a male athlete. And in Massachusetts, you don't have to identify as trans to play on the women's team. You can just be a regular woman. So Dayton Rehoboth field hockey decided last year to forfeit 2 games against Somerset Berkeley. Somerset Berkeley has the MVP of the SEC for field hockey. The MVP is a male for the SEC. He was the best goal scorer in the division, surprise. So this is, again, a policy that really hits home because I was an athlete in college, And when I played in college, we had an openly gay third baseman, and she was amazing. My junior year, she's like, I can't play anymore. I'm like, she got injured. Now this is back in 2002. Feels like a lifetime ago. But she said she can't play anymore because she transitioned. So it wasn't that long ago where because she was on testosterone, high dose of testosterone, she could not play women's softball anymore. So just think of how much it's changed. So this policy, again, we have to forfeit. I don't like it, but at least it takes a stance that Dayton Rehoboth is not going to put their athletes in danger, and if they don't want to play, they will not be, there's no consequences, the coach can't bench them, nothing will happen. If the coach doesn't want to coach, they find someone else, or but she cannot get penalized as well. So these policies are conservative policies. I really just want to bring hope that under Trump we can go further, because these happened in Massachusetts under Biden. So I hope that brings hope to people going forward. Woo!
Hi, Lisa Adams, Moms for Liberty, Chapter Chair of Plymouth County. I've been doing this since 22, but fighting since 21 when they were masking and vaccinating our children. So, Moms for Liberty, really quick. We educate and empower parents for their parental rights. We have a bill currently in the state of Massachusetts. Everyone repeat after me. 551, 551, 551. That is the bill number. NFI, Moms for Liberty Legal's teams, they work together to get the bill. Simon, thank you so much for showing up and testifying for the bill, and Representative Gatsby for your support. It's actually picking up traction, which I'm very excited about. When we did testify, we had a wide group of people. We even had one lady who stood up and said, I'm a liberal and I'm a Democrat, and this is why I'm for Bill 551, right? So make sure you tell your state reps that you want Bill 551. Everything that you are hearing that's in our school system, it is true. I am a veteran myself. I'm an old sailor, and when I read books from the high school and middle school that make me blush, that's very concerning, okay? Kayla has some of those books in the back, but I'm going to use the C word, control, okay? Look at the bigger picture. When you start telling children that you can be another sex, and then if you question that, right, you're wrong. Liam Morrison is a perfect example of that, right? You are teaching our children 2 + 2 = 5, period. And you must conform. When you are taking parents out of the school system, right, by saying we are the safe place, you can come to us. And this, yes, it's hyper-focused on transgender kids, but I was at a school committee where one of the school committee members actually said we need more mental health professionals in the school so that a child who only got an A- on a test and is apprehensive to go home, we can be there for them. So this is an all-encompassing, we need to be the place where your child goes. We love you unconditionally. They do not, right? By telling children God made a mistake, right? Now you are taking God out. And why would you want to do those things? To control a whole generation of people. That's what it comes down to. Now, the Massachusetts Teachers Association, right? They now have publicly said we are going to put millions of dollars into local elections. Pay attention. If you look at your last local election and you look at the Democrat PACs that might have been formed for local elections, dig a little deep. You'll find the Massachusetts Teachers Association actually probably gave thousands of dollars to that PAC.
Aren't school committees supposed to be
neutral? Yes. 100%. The vote no, the vote yes in Hanover?
That's what the other side wants you.
Right.
Yeah, we all know it's not.
No. So if you go, I don't have any kids in school, how does this affect me? This is how it affects you. This is how it affects you, obviously, the next generation. You know, we want a strong generation. What is backfiring for them, and many of our younger people, I'm so excited to see so many younger people here today, is my son, my 16-year-old, is the most conservative child I have ever met. I don't know where he came from. He makes me look like a liberal some days. I'm like, oh my, where'd you come from? So, all of this matters. And you need to direct your concern, your anger to the right people. We have many, many great teachers in our school systems. They're not on board with this. Hanover lost 27 teachers. And it wasn't because of budget cuts. It was because they left. So that is very, very concerning to me. Because those are the good teachers. Those are the ones that I want teaching my kids. Do you guys have any questions for me? Like I said, I'm going to keep it pretty short. So, yes, ma'am.
I've been trying to reach Moms for Liberty for a while. I don't know how to, you're like the biggest reason I came to.
Okay, what are you doing?
I live in East Taunton in Bristol County.
You are in luck. You have a new chapter chair.
You just friended me on Facebook the other day.
Did I? Oh, I friend so many people. I'm happy to have you as a friend now.
Yes, and she's going to need help. She's going to need help, so.
Because I ran for school committee in my city last election cycle, but
I do remember you.
I'm just a mom.
Yeah.
I'm not a politician. I didn't know how to campaign. I didn't have any money. And yeah, I'm the only one who wasn't, years in administration and all of that stuff. Just a mom with 4 kids.
Well, let's exchange numbers and we'll try to get something done. Do you have any interest in rerunning?
I don't know.
I say go for
My
it.
election account is still technically open, but it's been reduced to nothing because of the fees.
So Moms for Liberty is making an impact in the state of Massachusetts. We have thousands of people that are registered as members on Moms for Liberty in the state of Massachusetts. I'm the oldest chapter, and now we have Bristol County, we have Norfolk County that's starting, we have Middlesex County that's starting, Barnstable County I'm working on. We are a whole army of joyful warriors that are going to take our children and our schools back. And I know that the state of Massachusetts is not happy about that because in their police training this year, over 20,000 officers have been trained at Moms for Liberty that you stand there and you take that beating. And if you don't, then you're not being inclusive. You shouldn't be on the team. But now I want you to think, go 4 years later from that. If that young woman is in an abusive relationship, how do you think she's going to stand up and stand up for herself?
No,
Most
she's
likely
gonna
not.
take it.
She's going to take it. This is a very, very scary situation we're putting our children in.
And one other thing, from when I was a boy, boys always, they got together. They're shy about the girls. This is kindergarten, elementary school. As the same thing with the girls would congregate. And so I think that this is partly where the people that are doing this movement have come from. That they feel that, oh, well, these are girls and they're doing this, but we got to get them together.
Yes.
Yeah, but the boys and the girls will naturally come together in middle school or high school, somewhere around there. They make responsible decisions once they've gotten past 20, 21, 22.
Yes, hopefully, yes. So, any other questions, comments? All right, I'm gonna go to
So I'm going to use the mic because I don't speak as loud as these two ladies. So to be honest with you, I didn't prepare for this part. I am just going to speak from the heart and swing it. The reason that I started the Freetown Republican Town Committee is because I was known as the Freetown Mom. If you look it up on Google, you will find me there. I was just look up Turtle Boy. He has a more accurate description of what happened that day. Basically, my son was terrified over what happened in Uvalde. He didn't want to go to school. He's seen on the news that there was a shooting in an elementary school. He was only in first grade. He was terrified. I did what any parent would do. I went down to my school committee. Let me fast forward a little, rewind a little bit. I went down to the school. I asked them what the process for, school safety was. I wanted to talk to a school resource officer. I looked at their safety plan. It wasn't really secure enough for me to be okay with. I tried to talk to the superintendent, the principal, everybody in the administration. I didn't really get anywhere. It was kind of just like, oh, this is a crazy mom, go away type of thing. Then I went to the school committee, and that was, I believe, on November 17th, if I have the date correctly. And just like you see on TV and on social media, they pretty much told me, shut up, sit down. It doesn't, my opinion, my values, my feelings, my concerns did not matter. So I sat down, the superintendent said, Ms. Churchill, I can tell that you're, concerned about school safety. I want you to go test school security tomorrow. And he said, really try to pull on the school doors, try to get in, do whatever you have to, you're not going to be able to get in. If you do get in, you're going to be met in between the vestibule, which is a door, it's basically a hallway, 2 doors that separate you from the main entrance of the school. When I got there, I used a fake name because I wanted to test school security, and I was thinking that the people in the office would say, Ms. Churchill, we can see you. Because I said, my name is Carlos Montiero, I'm here to drop my son off. They didn't say that, they didn't question me, they said, come on in. I got into the vestibule. The school door that was promised to be shut was open. I seen a little boy walking across the attendants to the school office. If I had ill intent, because I was there testing security with a false name, I could have grabbed that little boy. There was nobody at the security window. So I'm sitting there with my child for like 10 minutes, waiting for somebody to come to the window or shut the door. Nobody comes. So I tell them, I say, I just used a false name. You guys, this is the first week on your new vestibule and your new security project. You guys failed on day 1 pretty much, and this is unacceptable. So I didn't really know what to do. I went to work. And I was working at the crime lab at the time, and I'm sitting there thinking, this isn't right. They told me to test security. I went and tested it. It's clearly not safe because they let me in with a false name. So I'm like, well, I know Trump talks about school choice. I'm like, maybe I'll move him to a different school. I go to the Freetown, or Lakeville, Assawamsett Elementary School, and I did the same thing. I used a false name. I said, I'm here to pick up my son, Carlos Montiero. They said, come on in. Your son is in the nurse's station. This child didn't even exist. My child wasn't there. They just let me in. So I walked around that school for 5 minutes, which is why I said to go and view the Turtle Boy video, because you can see the whole video from beginning to end of me walking around. These kids are in the hallways. They're singing their ABCs. They're how the teacher lets you go out into the hallway for a fun time with work on a project with your friend. They're sitting, laying in the hall, doing projects, coloring. And my heart sank because, again, the whole reason I went to these schools is I seen what happened in Uvalde, and I seen that it only took the shooter about 3 minutes. He came in through an open door, and the first classroom that we found, he shot up a whole classroom. And I'm thinking, geez, if I had ill intent, I hate to say it because it makes me sound crazy, but I could have dropped a bomb, drugs, I could have done anything to these kids. And even when I make it full circle around the whole school, I'm like, they didn't even see me. I could take a child, and once you get in the car and you make it on the highway, good luck finding that child again. So I'm like, what is going on? So I call the superintendent, and he doesn't answer me. I call the principal, I called the superintendent, he didn't answer. The principal called me back at the first school that I went to. He ends up saying, oh, Ms. Churchill, I'm so sorry that you were able to get into schools. This shouldn't happen. I was like, I got into 2 schools, not just 1. This is 2 schools I got into. You're supposed to be your first week on the new vestibule project. You guys assured me that my children were safe. They're clearly not. What is your safety protocols? What do you have in these classrooms if God forbid there's a shooter? And he told me, he said, we have a 5-gallon bucket, gloves, a hammer, and a gallon of water. And I'm thinking, what are you going to do? Well, have these kids wear gloves and drink some water while their school's getting shot up? How's that safe? So I talked to him for about 45 minutes. My mind's racing, because again, I'm a mom of 3, so every time one child graduates, they go to a different school. So in my head, I'm like, I have to test all these schools, because every time my kid graduates, they're going to another school, and I'm ready to pull all my kids out if you can't keep them safe. Forget about all the indoctrination that they're doing. Like, you can't even keep them safe, something basic, something simple. So I ended up going to the intermediate school, and I gave a different name. I said, I'm here to pick up my sister, Jessica Rowan. Again, all of this is on video, and now that, I'll get to this part later on, but now that I beat my charges, I will be presenting all of this. Chris is going to be interviewing me, so it's going to be something that you don't want to miss. My name has been completely tarnished in my town. I'm either loved or hated from where I am. Melanie will tell you that. She's laughing because she knows firsthand. She's been with me since day one pretty much, and I appreciate that. So I go to the intermediate school, and I again say I'm here to pick up my sister Jessica Rowan. She's like, who's that? Say it again. And I'm like, say it in my head. I'm like, just make me spell it. Make me show you an ID. Come out and ask me who I am. You can't hear me. You can't understand what I'm saying. So why would you let me in? Instead, she goes, I can't understand you. Can you just come inside? I'm like, what? I'm like, sure. So I get inside. I don't know if the other staff members were on lunch or where they were, but it was only me and the principal. And I'm looking at her and I'm thinking, you are so lucky I don't have ill intent. Because again, it's graphic, it makes me sound crazy, but the truth is, if I had an ill intent, I could have shot her dead and had access to the whole school. Nobody would have called the police. So at this point, I'm like, my blood pressure's way up here. I'm totally floored at what's going on. I go to the high school. It gets worse. They just let me in. I didn't say I was here to pick anybody up. I wasn't any teacher, parent, no, I said nothing. I stood in front of the door. They buzzed me right in. So I'm like, anyone can stand here and just gets to walk right in. So I walk in, the lady's like waving, I give her a wave, I'm like, what do I do? I guess I'm gonna walk around again and see what happens. So I walk around this school for 45 minutes. Nobody said a word. I walk in to the high school and you go down this hallway. The office is right here, and there's, 5 doors that lead into the office. I make it by all 5 doors, go back this way, go back around the school. I end up finding high schoolers, or they found me, which this is on video. This is where it gets controversial.
You're
Everybody's like,
inside the building.
I'm inside the building. At this point, for like 20 minutes. I walk past the cafeteria. The kids are in the cafeteria. I think it was like study lounge or whatever. And this is where it gets controversial, because these kids came up to me, and I can say this freely. Melanie, I think you've heard of it, but you can hear it again if you haven't. They came up to me and they said, why are you recording? And I was caught off guard. My blood pressure was up here. I said, I was asked to test school security. I'm testing school security, and this is the 4th school I've been in. This is insane. She's like, oh my God, this is a 12th grader, by the way. So it wasn't a small child. She was in 12th grade, bigger than I am. She's like, oh my God, if you were a school shooter, you could have shot me dead. And I regret it, because I shouldn't have said, you're right. But it came out of my mouth. I said, oh my God, you're right. And she was like, all of the kids, there was a group of 5 of them, and maybe a little more, 5, 3, or whatever. They had me sit down. They were like, so wait, you're a parent, you're doing the school security. I told them basically what happened with going to the school committee while I was there for Uvalde and everything. They were like, wow, that's insane. Can you go upstairs? And so they send me on a mission. Can you go upstairs and try to bypass security and see if you get back downstairs, we'll go with you to the superintendent's office. So it's like, yeah, I'll go upstairs. I mean, I'm already this far. I might as well see if anybody's going to see if I'm here. They're like, okay, when you go upstairs, can you just be careful going up the stairs, because our roof also leaks, so kids are constantly falling up and down the stairs. So I'm like, on top of one safety concern, these kids can't even walk up and down the stairs without falling. Like, so I go upstairs, and sure enough, I walk right by security. I was wearing ripped jeans, and I do look young. Well, I hope. It was a few years ago, so I hope I still look young. But they didn't say anything. And my thing is, even if you thought I was a child or a high school student, why wouldn't you say, hey kid, go to class? Why are you roaming the halls? You're supposed to have a hall pass. So I'm like, this is insane. I'm walking right by a security officer, and he's not, or a hall monitor, he's not saying anything. So I get down to the stairs, I see water all over the stairs, black mold all on the ceiling. There's a signed safety zone. I'm like, safety zone? This is like a danger zone, a death zone. This is horrible. So I end up going back down to past the kids, They're going to class, they're like, dude, that's insane, I can't believe you just got by. I'm like, I'm going to the superintendent's office with or without you guys. So I end up going, I'm like, you know, I'm gonna walk to the end of the hall and go past those 5 doors again and see if they pull me in, tackle me, call me on the speaker, anything. So I've been in this school 45 minutes at this point. So I get past the 5 doors, I go to the gymnasium, I see some big tall kid, he's honestly bigger than any man in this room, he was huge. And I thought he was the gym teacher. I said, are you the gym teacher? And because he was playing basketball and he just looked like a gym teacher. And he's like, no, I'm not. I'm like, where's your gym teacher? This is insane. I need to turn myself in at this point. So he's like, she's in the bathroom with the other high school girls. I'll go get her. So I'm sitting there waiting. I'm like, this is so insane. She comes out. I'm like, you're gonna have to call the superintendent, the police department, and like security or something. I'm an intruder. I've been in here 45 minutes. Nobody has caught me. I told the principal that I went to 2 other schools. He didn't say anything. So they call the school resource officer. I go in the room, school resource officer, there's the principal, superintendent, like 7 of them. I tell them everything. Mind you, she's wearing her body cam, so not only do I have the recording, but if it's ever subpoenaed or done by a FOIA request, we can get her body cam. And I told them exactly what I just told you all. I told them it was recorded. And I said, you guys suck. There's no security here. You guys told me to come test the security. There is none. And this is insane. I don't even know what to do. They said, listen, Miss Churchill, we'll let you leave out the front doors today if you don't tell the community. If you tell the community, it's going to get confrontational.
What?
So I'm like, yeah. So they didn't, mind you, again, I could have had a bomb in my pocket. I could have had anything to hurt somebody. They didn't search me. They didn't check my bag. They didn't, anything. They didn't even ask me like what my date of birth was, what my social was, like to try to look me up, nothing. They just let me leave through the front door. And I'm thinking, what in the hell just happened? So I go home and I talk to my mom and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I just went into all these schools. The security's horrible. We end up going to the news. Other parents found out who I was because when I spoke to the kids in the school, I gave them my name. I said, if I don't make it out of here or something happens, you guys got to tell your moms and dads what's going on because this needs to get out. And they ended up putting 9 charges on me. I got, what was it? It was trespassing, disrupting a school assembly, and what was the other one? What was it? Disrupting a school. I'll post it later. I'll share it in the video. I can't think right now because my mind's still mind blown. Every time I tell the story, my mind's like, what? So I ran for school committee, and I think that really pissed them off because they wanted me to go away and they wanted me to shut up.
They wanted you to be quiet.
Exactly. And so they bumped up the trespassing. First, they only had me on 3 trespasses. Then when I ran for school committee, which again, this happened in November. By the time I ran, this was in April. So I pulled papers in January. So by the time November to January, I ended up having 2 more trespass orders tacked on. So it was clearly political. I ended up exposing what any sane person, I have to tread lightly because I will say he is not a pedophile to my knowledge, he's not on any registration list, but what any sane person would say is, I would consider him one. And I say that lightly because I know I don't want to get sued again. But this gentleman was on our school committee and he had a signed DESE contract where he was not allowed on school grounds due to sexual relations with a student. His name's William Sankowitz. It's already been publicly announced. It's going to continue to be publicly announced. I don't care if he doesn't like it or he wants me to go away. I'm going to say it until he goes away because he was a Durfee High School teacher, ended up resigning from there from having sexual relations with a student, ended up going to Boston High School, had to resign for the same issues, then went to New Heights Charter in Brockton, again had to resign over the same issues.
Goodness.
So this is a habitual offender.
But he was on your school committee?
He was on our school committee, and it gets worse. He's on the Democrat town committee. So when I seen that, that's what motivated me and said, not only am I running for school committee, but now I'm going down to my town hall and I'm running for the Freetown Republican town committee chair because he's on the Democrat town committee. He was the chair. And Jean Fox was on the chair. And if you follow what's going on with the trains, Jean Fox is in charge of the trains. She's the reason that we have the MBTA. And she's on our school committee. She's on the Democrat town committee. And Bob Clark was on there. He was on the Democrat town committee. So like our whole school committee is on the Democrat town committee. And these are the same people that are protecting a groomer, I guess is the proper word to call him. And they're having all of these insane policies come in. They're harassing parents. they're bullying people, I'm like, I'm going after them. So that's what brought me to run for the Republican Town Committee, and then it led to state committee, and that's a whole problem in itself. Mass GOP is insane in itself. They hate me because I am a conservative through and through, and I stand on my values and principles. I don't fold. I can't be bought. I can't be persuaded.
And Mass GOP is not.
And the Mass GOP is not. They vote for men, and they had a resolution that went through to keep mother and father on the birth certificate, and they voted against it. They wanted it to say birthing parents. And to me, if you're on the Republican State Committee, you need to support Republican values and not fold on a Democrat policy. I don't know why they do stuff like that. And I see that all the time. Like I said, I'm hated on there. I don't care. I'm there for another, 3.5 years, and I'm just going to expose the hell out of them. That's what I'm here to do. I don't get paid to do it, but I love to do it anyways. It's my hobby, so good luck trying to get rid of me. The only way they can is if I catch a felon, and I don't plan on doing that, so get used to me for 3 years, what I have to tell them. Chris has been great. Just to lighten up the mood a little bit instead of talking about crazy stuff. Chris has been great. As I said earlier, he's been my right-hand man on the state committee for everything. He wasn't elected, he wasn't asked, well, he was asked by me, but he wasn't asked by the public or anything to do this, and he's totally like rocked the show. He's with me all the time. If I can't make it because I have 3 small children, to go into RTCs, he'll talk about the coalition, he'll talk about me, other people like Moms for Liberty, Gasky's work. He represents the people, he represents the conservative values, and I couldn't be more grateful for Chris, and I hope whether it's in this town or a different town, he eventually runs for state committee because he deserves an elected position on the state committee for everything he does. And I think I'm way past the 3 to 5 minutes, so there'll be more events like this, and you'll hear more crazy stories because we have lots to share.
We'll get her on the podcast. Thank you.
And just wanted to add real quick, if you are a part of the Fall River, Lakeville, or Freetown, if you live in any of those towns, we are trying to get those town committees up and running. You can go sign those up front with my treasurer to show ID that you're from those towns. Thank you for that. We're going to move on to our final panel. And one more thing, these stories that Kayla is talking about, they're not jokes. If I wanted jokes here, I would have invited the Mass GOP. So, that's what I would have done. We would have got them all up here, and they would have talked about nothing for 2 or 3 hours. But thank you, Kayla. You're doing great. If you end up running again, we'll support you, of course. We're going to move on to our final panel, which, again, I have some people. All right. Our final panel. All right, we have Claire, Simon, Thomas, and we have Chris here to speak. Oh yeah, of course. Round of applause.
Hello. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
And despite standing here in front of you today as a 21-year-old man, for 3 years, I believe I was a woman. Before I start, I want to address a couple of things which previous speakers touched upon. First of those things is the usage of the term LGBTQ+. LGBTQ+ is not a community, it is not a cohesive group of individuals, and the LGBT have been forced to name with the TQ because LGBT people like myself know that transgenderism, transing children, is the modern form of conversion therapy. The same drugs they gave Alan Turing in Britain to cure his homosexuality are the drugs we're giving little boys now. Secondly, I would like to touch upon a piece of recent news I got just a few minutes ago. I was told by one of my friends who has his finger on the pulse that a 57-year-old man in Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, a couple hours ago was shot by another transgender shooter who has since been apprehended. Much like the other transgender shooter we saw in Minneapolis, I believe it was Minneapolis, I may be wrong about that, there was found graffiti and notes about like Black Lives Matter, Free Palestine, and defund the police. There is a pattern here. A lot of people like to say that the leading domestic terrorism threat is from right-leaning men. This is not true. It is obviously predominantly from people on the far left who have been indoctrinated, like I was, to believe that men can become women, that the Jews are evil, and that we're all complicit in some sort of genocide or another. Well, let me tell you a bit about myself. I had a rough childhood. I was failed by a school system which did not protect me from being bloodied by bullies in elementary school or being sexually assaulted by an older boy in 9th grade, but instead indoctrinated me to the false religion of gender ideology. I remember telling my parents when I was 14 years old that I was really a girl inside. I recall sitting in my pediatrician's office around my 15th birthday, watching my pediatrician ask my father, "Would you like a dead son or a living daughter?" Yes. I was cheered on by my therapist at Boston Children's Hospital, by my school, by my teachers, by my classmates, the media, and the news. But despite this, my father stood strong and prevented me from medicalizing in the end. Unfortunately, many of my friends weren't so lucky. I remember watching my struggling friends, people I loved, undergo irreversible procedures and take cross-sex hormones not approved by the FDA for purpose. I watched them get worse. I saw the fear in their parents' eyes that their children would be taken away by DCF for not complying with this pseudoscience. I remember how those who had cheered on my transgender identity turned around and stabbed me in the back the moment I voiced my regret. I remember the death threats. I remember the harassment on the streets. I remember all of it since I chose to speak up publicly. I have since realized that there is no truth in transgender identity beyond an iatrogenic disorder off of which a multi-billion-dollar industry has been built. At least $4.4 billion in this country alone. It is my honest belief that the transitioning of children is the single greatest medical scandal in the 21st century. And take it from somebody who laughs. Gender ideology is a cult. Now, let me also be clear. I'm not here today to indulge sectarian conflicts or reinforce partisan divides. For I believe, in the eyes of God, we are but one people. The polling data backs this up. Not only are the majority of Americans, but the majority of Democrats in our state of Massachusetts are against pediatric transition. This is the time for you to reach out to that neighbor who you disagree with on every single other issue and stand together to protect the children of our states and our nation. Speaking up is difficult. It's scary. I know. But for every person who speaks up, you make it just a little bit easier for the next. Now is the time for Republicans and conservatives to take a strong stance against this atrocity. This is an 80-20 issue, and it is being handed to you on a silver platter. And the good news is, you are not alone. There are people and organizations who work tirelessly on this issue from across the political spectrum. If you are a medical professional, reach out to Do No Harm. If you are lesbian, gay, or bisexual, reach out to the LGBT Courage Coalition. If you have a Democrat in your family, connect them with Democrats for an informed approach to gender. If you have a transgender identifying child, reach out to GenSpect. And there are so many more. If you need any resources, please feel free to come and ask after I'm done. Republicans will not get elected in Massachusetts if they do not stand for something. Republicans will not get elected if they're just like the Democrats, but they like spending less money. Republicans will get elected if they stand against this 80-20 issue, which again is being handed to you on a silver platter to protect kids, like my friend Claire was, like I was, like the kids you have, the nieces and the grandchildren that you know. 3% of 18 to 24-year-olds and a similar portion of kids in high school identify as transgender. 1 in 1,000 17-year-olds right now are on cross-sex hormones at least. This needs to end. Thank you very much. Woo!
My apologies for stepping away for a second. We're just trying to wrap everything up in the background of the church, just getting the church shut down, the lights and off and everything. We're going to move on to our ballot question for the Massachusetts Alliance to Stop Tax-Funded Abortions. And then after that, because I do have to step off the stage one more time, we'll follow that up with Fall River City Council candidate Chris Peck.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Tom Harvey. I'm the chairman of the Mass Alliance to Stop Taxpayer-Funded Abortions. I filed with the Attorney General's office a petition to amend the state constitution. You know, it's bad enough that we've got to tolerate the killing of the smallest and most innocent members of the human family, the babies in the womb, but we also have to pay for it in Massachusetts. And not only that, it's a constitutional right that they get paid for. So what this group is trying to do is to stop it as a constitutional right. That's like the first step. It's politically perhaps feasible because we don't need the governor's signature, we don't need half the legislature. We need 1/4 of the legislature. So the process is, and I'm here looking for volunteer signature gatherers, we need to collect 75,000 signatures between early September and November 19. We've tried it in the past, we've gotten like 60,000, we've come up a little short. And twice. I'm hoping this time around we can get the signatures. That's the first step. The second step, it goes to the legislature, and we need 1/4 of them in joint session. Third step, it goes to the next legislature, and again get 1/4 of them. And lastly, it goes on the ballot in 2028. So to amend the Constitution is not an easy thing, but it's a necessary thing, because even if someday the legislature is pro-life, it can't do anything to stop taxpayer-funded abortions, because it's a constitutional right. This is based on a 1981 Supreme Judicial Court case. So even though the word abortion is not even in there, they somehow found, an activist court somehow found that it was a constitutional right. So I'm looking for volunteers. I have a sign-up sheet. You can get on my email list. You know, it covers the whole state, and I'm just looking for help. So, you know, we've got a lot of great volunteers in the past, just not enough. Yes?
Do you know the age of consent to get an abortion?
Well, I think there's pending legislation now to eliminate it at all, isn't it, John? I think right now there is pending legislation by the Democrats to, they lowered it from, it used to be age majority, otherwise you needed a parental consent or a judicial bypass, which was kind of a joke because they always, you know, it was like 99.99 something or other where they always approved it. That is a minor seeking an abortion without a parental consent. The so-called Roe Act a couple of years ago, they lowered the age of consent from 18 to 16. Now they're looking to eliminate it at all and eliminate the judicial bypass.
As far as abortion goes, minor 15 years. And they're trying to push it, I don't think they're trying to eliminate it altogether, but they're trying to bring it down to 13.
I just want to say too, I got pregnant when I was 15, and my mom made the appointment, dropped me off. They asked me if I wanted to have an abortion. even at 15, I was pro-life, so now I'm a 15-year-old. But they were trying to have me have an abortion. They said they'd give me the medication right then and there in the office without my mother's consent, even though she made the appointment for me and drove me there. I was 15.
Good for you.
So I just wanted to make that point that not only are we paying for abortions, we're paying for children to have abortions.
Yeah, true. So
Without-
these are all the Medicaid abortions, which is huge. It's, I think it's right now $6 million a year that come out of our tax dollar. So, any other questions? Okay, I have a sign-up sheet if you are willing. Thank you.
I'm not going to be as candid. I wrote it all down. My name is Chris Peckham, former City Councilor, Public Safety Chairman for the City of Fall River. I'm also a candidate in November to run again. In 2019, I was the first Republican elected in the City of Fall River in almost 47 years. During my tenure, I fought for solutions to strengthen our depleted public safety agencies and to address our homeless and addicted population without wasting taxpayer money on ineffective programs. I quickly learned that some local politicians profit more from perpetuating these issues than solving them. Recently, I filed a Freedom of Information Act request to uncover how many migrants Fall River has housed over the past 4 years. The city's response, I put here, it was shocking, but it's absolutely not shocking. They didn't know, and referred me to the Fall River Housing Authority and stated that they were a separate entity. This raises some serious concerns. First, our homeless and addicted population, mostly lifelong Fall River residents, has grown exponentially. Yet a state mandated migrant housing program seems to take precedence over our own people. Second, how can the City of Fall River plan for adequate public safety staffing when it doesn't even know the population it serves? They have no idea what the number of people is, but they're literally saying that they're basing public safety or staffing on public safety at minimum staffing requirements. At 94,000, that number's a lot less than the projected that I have, around 105,000. Fall River is plagued by nepotism and political practices that prioritize special interests over residents. Again, I stated earlier, I was still to this day, I'm the only Republican that's been elected in now 50 some odd years. As President Reagan once warned, the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government, and I'm here to help. Look around. Gentrification is transforming the south end of Fall River, while neighborhoods north of I-195 flourish unevenly. Fall River needs conservative leadership focused on its people, public safety, and overall well-being, not special interests. We need a smaller, accountable government that puts residents first. I urge everyone here to stand up, speak out, and demand change, not in just Fall River, but your own communities. As President Kennedy once said in 1961, the strength of our economy is essential to the strength of our nation. But unfortunately, neglecting municipal budgets will lead to the collapse of our cities and towns. Let's unite to champion the conservative values, strengthen our communities, and take them back. Together we can build a stronger Commonwealth. Also, I wanted to add, somebody mentioned a train earlier. So, I'm a truth teller in Fall River. I get myself in a lot of trouble. I was on the council. You can just Google me. And I found something out in 2019 that's coming to fruition today. I keep seeing market rate housing pop up everywhere in the city of Fall River. We're building on vacant lots, corners, we're taking over properties. That is because the city of Fall River was mandated by the MBTA to squeeze 30 to 40,000 more people into the city of Fall River. That's on top of the migrant issue that we have now, and we don't know how many are there. We have a police department that's at minimum staffing, a fire department that was just all over the national news for not having the manpower to fight the fires that, or protect the city in general. But we keep adding people and adding people and adding people. I once said to a local politician when I was talking about the migrant crisis, and they were pro-migrant. And I said to them, I said, if you and your husband had one child and couldn't afford that child, would you go out and adopt another? The city of Fall River doesn't have enough money. Why are we going out and adopting more people? It doesn't make sense. And I would like to add one more thing. It was a blessing to be here today and hear Christ's name mentioned as many times as it was.
Amen.
Because I believe it's His will that we're doing what we're doing.
Amen.
And with that, God bless you all. Thank you.
too. Thank you.